Okay, so we want to cover a lot of storyline here, and we'll probably have to do it in 2 videos. After the crossing of the Red Sea, somewhere right around there is Marah. We don't know exactly where. In fact, we're not exactly sure of the route of the Exodus or the location of Sinai. But the route that makes the most sense and the location of Sinai that makes the most sense is around here. We can't know for sure, but it makes more sense than any other places. And if so, then what people have done is gone along and found oases that might match the places mentioned, and we have some ideas. There aren't that many, so these are fairly likely candidates. If so, then this would be the site of Marah, where they come to right after they cross the Red Sea. And this is where Marah means bitter. This is where they heal the water. You can see there's a well there built for this oasis, and you can see that trees do grow and there is some water there, and this may actually be the water that is left over from when Moses heals it. So we get that towards the end of Exodus 15. Also, towards the end of Exodus 15, they travel from Marah all the way to Elim. And again, if this is this southern route that is generally thought of as the most likely route, that makes sense to me. If this is the route, then this is the next likely candidate for an oasis. And it is at Elim they find 12 wells, and they find 12 wells and 70 palm trees. And you can see it actually is a fairly decent sized oasis with a lot of palm trees. Whoops, that's not it. But anyway, that's let me just move this a little bit. Okay, so that is what happens to them as they come to Elim. Then in Exodus 16 they begin the journey between Elim and Sinai, entering in what is called the wilderness of Sin. Here it's written S-I-N, just like it is in your text, but it's probably better written T-S-I-N. It has nothing to do with our word sin. It's just the wilderness of Sin. That's what it's called, and isn't related to our word sin at all. In any case, they get into that wilderness, and I'll just show you a couple of pictures of that as we go along here. You can see the kind of wilderness they're traveling in. Not the nicest place to travel, but this is the territory that they are traveling in. So it's as they're in this wilderness of sin that they start to get hungry. They murmur about it. The Lord provides quail for them. You remember all the quail come and they're able to eat quail, and after that they start to have manna. And so it's in this area that they're finding the manna and going out and picking it up. Then in Exodus 17, they end up at Rephidim, if we were to go to our map. So all of that story with the quail and the manna is happening somewhere in between here and here, if this is the real Rephidim, and we don't know for sure, but it's a very good candidate. But somewhere along here in the wilderness of Sin is where that happens. And then they finally get to Rephidim, another oasis that's right up against a mountainside. And it is in Rephidim that they have a battle with the Amalekites. You remember, well, first of all, Moses smites the rock, and you can see the rocks around here. He smites it and water comes forth. And then they have the battle with the Amalekites, and this is then where they have to, Aaron and Hur have to hold up Moses' hands. Then they travel the rest of the way. Oh, that's the Red Sea. So then they travel the rest of the way to Sinai, and finally get to Sinai. Somewhere in between there is where Jethro tells Moses that he's doing too much, and that he needs to delegate a little bit. And it's also to Sinai where they will prepare for God to come down. They see him on this mountain, if this is the real Sinai, and lightning and thunder, and they prepare for him to come down, and then they actually hear the 10 Commandments being delivered as they are waiting to see God themselves.